our lesson for today. So remember last time we talked about how Mary, who was the cousin to Elizabeth, was told by angel Gabriel a message from God that she will carry the Son of God, and that this was fulfilling the promise that God had made for a king with a kingdom that will never ever end. And how Mary, being the servant of God, she said, I don't understand this, but I believe and trust in you, God, and I will do as you ask me to do. And we learned how important it is for us to always trust God, and how God can use anyone, even ordinary, normal people, to do wonderful things. So now let's see what happens next in the story of Elizabeth, Zachariah, and now Mary.
So there was great excitement and everyone was happy because the son to Zachariah and Elizabeth was finally born. And when he was 1 week old, there was to be a ceremony, and the ceremony was a ceremony to name the child. And all friends and relatives, they came from everywhere and they were here. And they told Elizabeth, you will surely name him Zachariah, just like his father. And Elizabeth was, no, we will name him John. And they were all shocked. And they asked, why name him John? It is not even a family name. And Elizabeth murmured, John means the Lord is with us. Ask Zachariah and you will see what he will say.
Now, remember, Zachariah could not speak when he was in the temple and the angel appeared before him and told him about the baby John. Zachariah did not believe. And because of this, God said, you will not be able to speak until after your baby is born. And Zachariah still could not speak. So he made signs asking people to give him his writing tablet. And when he got the writing tablet, he wrote, his name is John, and he showed everyone the tablet that said his name is John. And as soon as everyone saw this, and as soon as Zachariah finished writing this, he could suddenly speak again. He had his voice back and he could talk, and the first thing he did is he gave thanks and gave praise to God for all of his goodness, because he had a son now and he could speak again. So Zachariah thanked God for all of his goodness and the great things that he had done. And then he started to tell the people, all of the friends and relatives who had come for the naming ceremony, he started to tell them about his son John and about the king who was soon to be born.
So now Zachariah can speak. He was speaking and he was so happy, and he said God has kept his promises. God has kept his promises. Finally, we have a son, and he was so happy. He went and took the baby from Elizabeth's arm, and he looked down at the little baby and he said to the baby, you are special, my child, and you have gone before the soon coming king. You will prepare the way for him, and you will tell his people about God's forgiveness and God's love.
So children, what we learn from the story about John being born is that God fulfills his promises. We had said it and we had told ourselves to believe that God fulfills his promises, but now we are seeing God actually fulfilling his promises. God promised Zachariah he would have a son, and now Zachariah has baby John. And God promised Zachariah that after his son was born, he would be able to speak again. And now again, Zachariah can speak. So, children, what we need to remember is there's another promise that God had made about a future king whose kingdom will last forever and ever and ever. And the same way that the promises about John and Zachariah have come true is the same way that the promise of the Savior is also going to come true. No matter how long it takes, God always fulfills his promises. Now it's time for us to sing our song. So everyone stand up and help us sing this song. Oh, Okay kids, it's time to sing our song. Now we've just learnt about how baby John has been born, and this shows us that God keeps his promises. We believe it, we have heard it, but now we have actually seen one of the promises that God has fulfilled. So we're gonna sing a song that says, God, you always keep your promises. So everyone stand up and help us sing this song. You keep your promises. I know I can trust in you. When you speak it, God, you do it. Your words are always true. You keep your promises. I know I can trust in you. When you speak it, God, you do it. Your words are always true. God makes a promise and then he keeps it. Numbers 23:19. God makes a promise and then he keeps it. Numbers 23:19. You keep your promises. I know I can trust in you. When you speak it, God, you do it. Your words are always true. You keep your promises. I know I can trust in you. When you speak it, God, you do it. Your words are always true. God makes a promise and then he keeps it. Numbers 23:19. God makes a promise and then he keeps it. Numbers 23:19. Numbers 23:19. Numbers 23:19. Yeah! Okay kids, it's time for us to do our craft. Now we've just learned about John being born and about how his name was to be John, because the name John means the Lord is gracious. So to remember the story, we have a picture of Zachariah and a picture of Elizabeth holding baby John. In the middle, we're going to write our memory verse, where our story comes from today and what our lesson for today was, and the meaning of the name John. So let's start.
So on this side, we have a picture of Zachariah and he's holding up a paper written the name John. And on the other side, we have Elizabeth and John. So the first thing we're going to do is to color. So just take your colors and we'll color. So after we've finished coloring, we're going to stick them on our paper, so one on each end. Just put glue at the back so that you can stick them on our manila paper. So carefully put them on your manila paper. So after sticking them on our manila paper, it's time to write where our verse for today comes from. So at the middle, we'll write where our verse comes from, and it's Luke chapter 1, verse 60. So write Luke chapter 1, verse 60. And then we'll write, but his mother replied, no, he shall be called John. We will also write the meaning of the name John. So we'll write the name John. The name John means the Lord is gracious. And the last thing we will write down in our picture is what we learned from the story of John. And what we learned is God fulfills his promises. So right next to that, write God fulfills his promises. And there we go. This is our craft for today, and this has been our lesson for today. We'll see you next time. Bye.